we challenge you starting tomorrow through next Sunday. I told you last month that each month we will be taking the first full week of the month and just calling it Intercessory Prayer Week. And we're going to just pray. I can't make you pray, but I just encourage you to pray each day for the needs of those in our church. You need to pray one for another.
Yes, we do.
The ladies sing it almost all the time. Pray for me. Somebody prayed for me. And so we need to pray one for another. That's the best thing we can do for people. And there's a prayer guide available if you want to follow the 7 days of where we're on the same page. You don't have to do that. That's just available for you here on the communion table this morning. Don't forget the Barrel Missions Offering. There's a letter out there on the bulletin board if you want to read about what they did for Christmas and what our money helped do. And they're getting ready for a big Valentine's help with school supplies. So they're always got something going at the Cherokee Children's Mission. So keep that in mind as well. Other things, let me encourage you to come out to Sunday school. We're in the book of Romans, and we're having a good time. We may have to look up words that we don't quite understand, but that's all right. We're figuring it all out together. Amen. And then Sunday night and Wednesday night services, we've got things for you. If you want to be a part of any of our activities, just let me know. We'll find a job for you to do. We put even Cheryl to work doing things. Amen. So we should sure help you. Any type of job that you want to help do. There's some bathrooms in there that needs to be cleaned, Brother Craig. Can
I raise my hand?
The bowing of the head gave me the indication.
Submission, there.
That's all right. I got a joke with you though. I got a joke somebody when I see you, because I may not see you for a couple of weeks. I got a joke with you, but good to see all of you this morning. Good to see you in the Lord. Leviticus chapter 2. It's one of those books that you kind of say, Leviticus, back over there in the Old Testament. Why in the world would we go back there and find a scripture? Well, as I was praying a few weeks back, and the Lord began to lay on my heart that we need to break out of the salt shaker. How many has a salt shaker at your house?
Amen.
Is it normally on the table?
Yeah.
Huh? Anybody have it on the table? Or it's pretty well close to the table, isn't it? Hello. Hello. Because, see, there's something important about salt. And I'm going to talk about it for the next couple of Sundays, because understand this. Salt doesn't do you any good if it's just left in the salt shaker.
Well, all right now. Amen.
Salt doesn't do your food any good.
No.
If you just leave it in the salt shaker.
That's right. That's right.
It's got to be broken out of the salt shaker and onto what you want to salt. Are you with me?
Oh, yes.
To do any good.
Yes.
So look at me in Leviticus chapter 2 and verse 13. And let's look at it together for a little bit this morning. Every oblation of the meat offering shall thou season, look at that, with salt.
Uh-huh.
Now I'm going to stop right there and tell you, every time an offering in the Old Testament was given at the tabernacle or the temple, it had to be seasoned with salt. Now he just didn't stop with the meat offerings, but he says, neither shalt thou suffer the salt of the covenant of thy God to be lacking from the meat offering. With all thy offerings thou shalt offer salt. Every time. Now, we're under a money system now, and I thank God for that, because I don't know if I could spend all day dealing with sacrifices. But every animal sacrifice, every grain offering, everything that was given to God in Bible days was offered to God with salt. With salt. I want to show you in a minute why. Because salt had to be in the sacrifice.
All right, all right.
Now, a sacrifice was something that was totally committed to God. Kind of like the day when the hog and the chicken was having a conversation in the pig pen. And the chicken looked over there and said, you know, I'm getting hungry. And the hog said, I am too. He said, the hen said, I'll offer up 2 of my eggs if you'll offer up a slab of your bacon. The old hog thought, well, you know what? That'll be fine for you, but for me, it's a total commitment.
All right now, yes it was.
Because for that bacon to be offered up, that hog would have had to die.
Yes, right. Yes, yes.
Now understand this. In Bible days, animals had to die. Things had to be offered up. And as they were offered up, they had to be sacrificed with salt. Because a sacrifice was a total commitment. Every part of that sacrifice was totally given. Understand? A sacrifice is the surrender or the destruction of something valued for the sake of something else. When that offering in the Old Testament was given, the animal paid the price that was paid. The blood was shed. The offering Brother John was giving, it costed somebody something.
Yes.
For the redemption of whatever your sin was or whatever the trespass was, there had to be a sacrifice. Now understand this. Today I'm glad that Jesus was our sacrifice.
Yes, I am. Amen.
He made the ultimate sacrifice so that we all, every one of us, could have life and have that life more abundantly. But that doesn't get us off the hook altogether. Because when we read scripture like this, Sister Cheryl, Romans 12:1, he says, I beseech you therefore, brethren, by the mercies of God, that you do something. That you present your what? A living sacrifice. Now, he's not asking us to give our life. He's not asking us to shed our blood. He's not asking us to die for him. He's asking us to live for, look at that, a living sacrifice. And if we will become a living sacrifice, look at that, holy and acceptable unto God, which is your reasonable service. It's the least that we can do. Now, I tied all this together because I want you to understand something. If we are a living sacrifice, then we need to have our sacrifice seasoned with salt.
All right now.
Because every offering that is given to God has to be seasoned with salt. So when you think about that, no wonder this scripture comes to play. It says, you are the salt of the earth. Jesus said this. But if the salt loses its saltiness, are you with me? How can it be made salty again? It is no longer good for anything except it be thrown out and trampled by man. Now, do you know that salt itself is a miracle? How many knows that? How many chemistry students do we remember here this morning? What salt was made of? Any takers? It's 2 poisons. How many knows it? There's 2 poisons in this bottle this morning. It's chlorine and sodium. In chemistry, you would mix those 2 components together, and through the process, you would get salt. It's chlorine and sodium. By themselves, if we took them, it would kill us. If we ingested chlorine or sodium by itself, and enough of it, you would die. But put them together and you have common, ordinary salt that everyone in this room somehow every day takes of. Are you with me?
Yes.
Isn't it a miracle? that God, Brother John, can take two poisons. It doesn't surprise me. He takes two gases like hydrogen and oxygen. Put a fire to them and they'll both blow up.
Oh, yeah.
But put them together just right, and you got ordinary drinking water. Isn't that God?
Yeah.
Hello?
Yeah.
My. Hello? So you see the miracle day. God's always into miracles.
Yes, he is.
Those in ancient times understood the value of salt a lot more than we do. The Romans believed that, for instance, that there was nothing as valuable as salt. Many Roman soldiers were even paid with salt. Where we get the old cliche, he ain't worth his salt. Have you ever heard that from Grandpa? See, that was because it meant that he ain't worth what he's being paid. Because Romans soldiers were paid by salt. Salt was more valuable to them than money. You want to know why? You could do a lot of things with salt that we don't do now. You seasoned your meat, Brother Craig, with salt. You took salt. Every Roman soldier and every person had a salt pouch, and they would carry that salt pouch everywhere they went, because why? When they got a little dehydrated, they'd reach into that salt pouch and take them some salt. You know what salt makes you do? It makes you sweat. It rehydrates you. Hello, come on, talk to me. There's something miracle about the salt. And when God says you're the salt of the earth, he knew what he was